to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, where we have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. So welcome back to the show, Gene Slade. We appreciate you, brother. Thanks for joining us again. For those of you that do not know Gene Slade, and I mean, there's very few that probably do at this point, because one of the things that you're very well known for is the fact that you'd rather be known and disliked than unknown and a mystery.
Amen. Yeah,
and
one of my mentors says, if you don't know
me,
you can't flow me.
There you go. I like that.
Right? Yeah, how can you do business with somebody if you don't know them? And what's crazy about the hater industry, if you will, is that it doesn't take that long for them to get converted to admirers and then followers after a while.
Yep, 100%. Right. And that's, I mean, I hated Gary Vee when he first started putting out content. Gosh, 8-10 years ago when I started watching him. Hated him. Thought he was annoying. Thought he was just a annoying New Yorker. Right. And now I love his content. And
he is, but I like it. Right.
Yeah.
People don't like me sometimes because I'm in their face. Right. I don't sugarcoat anything. I say what's on my mind. And not everybody can handle that. So we're racing a bunch of sissies nowadays. You know what I mean? Everybody gets a trophy. Come on, that's not the way it works in the world, right? How many of you knew popular people back in school, super popular, and then they went out into the world and they weren't so popular outside of that high school circle, and they fell on their faces?
Yep, 100%. Well, for the few that are turning in that just saw the controversy around it and some of the comments that were happening on the pre-show posts and all that shit, Gene Slade, he is the owner of Lead Ninja and the Lead Ninja system. He's been in the trades for a long time now. He owned a business for 6 years and a day before selling. He was the 59th fastest growing construction company in the country. Crushed it as a business owner, took his system and helped others implement it in their businesses as well. And that's what he's doing now is the owner of Lead Ninja. He is helping contractors across multitudes of industries improve their businesses and improve their sales. And I think you're doing a phenomenal job at that, right? And that's really what we want to get into is the value that you can bring to the industry, to individuals, to sales techs. I think you do it in a multitude of different ways, but I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today. But first, we got to get into some of the hard shit.
Okay.
One, I mean, you put out a post, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, about your brother and the shit that's happened there in the past. And wanted to see if there's anything that you wanted to address there, because there's been a lot of shit talk around that and what's happened with your brother. And I mean, it's never fun dealing with messy family shit, but when business gets in the way of it too, it gets even worse.
Well, yeah. And frankly, I mean, I usually keep my mouth shut about stuff. But when it really begins to impact me in a very significant way, and it begins to impact my family in a massive financial way, then, you know, you've got to ask yourself, at what point do you just stay silent and let everybody talk? And I've had people reach out to me that were like, dude, you got to blast this guy. I've had people reach out to me and go, hey, you can't be doing that kind of stuff on Facebook. It's not the time or place. But it's amazing to me that somebody would say something like that after having watched somebody just get the ever-loving shit kicked out of them for a couple of weeks. Right. So it's okay for people to go out and talk shit on Facebook, but it's not okay for you to react or respond to it. So I had to make a choice, and I knew that it wasn't going to be a good look to come out and say anything at all. But I felt like, you know, I had to weigh and measure things. And the bottom line is, I'll say here what I said on my own personal Facebook, and that was that we had different values and different beliefs. Right. And that's enough for me. When there are different values and different beliefs, and we don't have that kind of alignment professionally, then it's just not going to work. And so that's why we separated from a business perspective, and just different values and different beliefs. So I don't really want to say anything more about it than that. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to.
No, I understand that. Let me ask you this. When it comes to difficult conversations, whether that's publicly, whether that's in private, how is it that you come to that level of discernment as to what it is that you should share and what is it that you shouldn't? And especially when it comes to family, how do you go about having those tough conversations and deciding when it needs to happen?
I'm really bad at that. I'm good at it and bad. And here's how I'm good at it. I don't typically react like that, right? I wait, I sit and I watch. I'm a listener. And so I really, really sit back and think about the consequences of not having a family member in the business anymore, because that can have negative consequences. It's happened to me in the past. I've hired and fired pretty much all of my family from my businesses. And I would say that in a perfect world, like my dream, I have a buddy in Michigan who owns a couple of car dealerships, and he graduated with me. We're friends, and he and his brother have got a phenomenal working relationship. His brother does one thing, he does another, and they're massively successful. And I always really idolized that in my earlier years, because they've been working together since they were 19, 20 years old. I mean, they grew up in the business kind of like we did. And that was always a dream of mine. But again, I mean, like, their experience is one of 7.7 billion people's experience on the planet. Right. And just because I want something to be a certain way doesn't mean that it's going to be a certain way. So I sit back and I listen and I think. Second, the reason that I say I'm not that great at it is because I've been told by mentors, be slow to hire and quick to fire. Right. And I'm not so quick to fire. I hate conflict. I hate it. I avoid it like the plague. And unfortunately, because of that characteristic, a lot of times I keep people on board a lot longer than I should, and they cost me a lot more money than they should. I have one recent example of a marketing guy that came to work for me, said that he promised me the world. I got a list of 100,000 people that we're going to be mailing and all this other shit. I decided to pay him $150,000 salary. And he disappears for me on a month. When I finally decided to cut the paychecks off, he goes, "Sorry, bro, I was building my own business and I didn't have time to work on yours." Right. Fuck. So that cost me about $30,000 because I waited, because I didn't trust my gut. And frankly, from the beginning, my spidey senses were tingling, like from the very freaking beginning. I just felt something off, but I didn't listen to that instinct. So I make mistakes all the time in business. And it's the only way that we learn, right? We learn more from our failures than we do our successes, correct? Am I wrong? So,
I think it's funny. We actually just put this clip up a couple weeks ago from Mike Agliaro. One of the clips that he said was, "We don't learn from our failures. We learn from our reflection of our failures."
Amen.
I thought that was brilliant, because so many people have these things happen in their lives and they have zero time to pause and reflect on it. And
it's super painful too.
It's extremely painful, because then they just repeat it.
Yeah, super, super painful. And going through these types of things is massively painful. Like, my heart has just been torn out of my chest, thrown on the ground, and stomped on.
Right.
But I understand that in order to get to where I'm going, in order to become the best, in order to get to the top, in order to become the most well-known, I've got to go through this shit, because on the other side of it, I'll be able to help people who are going through it. How can you help somebody when you haven't experienced similar things? Like, guys, I've been through it. Like, I mean, I was married for 20 years, found out that she'd been cheating on me for the last 4. Like, I mean, I've had family members drop in and out. Like, it just, I've had so much shit happen to me in my life, and it's just made me a tougher person. I think it probably has cut years off my life, but you know what I mean? I thank you to the Lord for everything that he does for me every day, and for the challenges that he puts me through, because if God wasn't putting me through these challenges, I couldn't become the person that I'm going to become. I couldn't become the person that he's designing me to be. And I know I get on here and I cuss and I whatever. Listen, I love Jesus, right? Like, I'm a follower. I'm a Christ follower. That's who I am. But listen, I'm not going to walk around beating a Bible, and I'm not going to be in your face about all that stuff. And frankly, if you say that I'm not a Christian because I cuss, I'd ask you to examine the last 24 hours of your life. Right? And whether or not you have in the last 24 hours. Right. I mean, let's be real. It's a word. There's nothing right or wrong about any words. It's the meaning that we put behind them. Right? It's your own interpretation of whatever it is that I'm saying. that makes you either like it or don't like it. And I'm cool with both.
Totally. Yeah, I had that
So-
conversation with my 6-year-old last night around cursing and the difference
Yeah.
between cursing at someone or with someone, and even the difference between the intention when you're cursing at someone. Like, Gene, I
Yeah.
could say "fuck you," and it feels very different than saying, "Gene, you're fucking awesome."
Oh my
Cursing
gosh.
at you both times, but the intention behind it is entirely different, right?
I'll drink to that.
Explaining that to a 6-year-old is a little different than explaining to it to 35-plus-year-olds. But
Well, it's hard. You can't even explain it to a 35-year-old because they're already stuck in their ways.
Definitely.
Right. It's hard to teach somebody after the age of 25. I was just watching a video about this. Really difficult to teach somebody before the age of 25. After the age of 25. After the age of 25, usually takes some sort of massive trauma or something like that in somebody's life for them to make a real substantial transformation of change.
Right. No, most people live in that middle zone, right? Where
Yeah.
things are
Safe.
good enough that they're not going to do anything about it. But they're not bad enough that they're also not going to do anything about it. They're just in that middle ground where they're ripening and rotting.
I was watching a GC video recently, and this girl was asking him, how do you know that you're on the other side of a breakthrough, that you're about to have a breakthrough? And he says, because you're about to lose everything. When you're putting everything on the line, that's when you're on just on this side of that breakthrough.
100%. No, when you've got something to lose.
Floor is yours.
Curious about this inkling, this feeling that you didn't pay attention to, as what was the comment there? The tingling sensation in your crotch.
Spidey sensitive.
I said the tingling sensation in your crotch, but oh wait, that's something else.
Yeah. So when I was hiring this guy, is there a specific question about that, or you just want me to expand on
Yeah,
it?
like, so one, what was it that made you ignore that in the first place? Two, what is it that you've learned from that you're going to pay attention to moving forward?
See, this is so painful to be transparent about this, right? So for the last 8 years, I've been building Lead Ninja, right? It started out as one thing. It's transformed into a completely different thing.
Right.
But for 8 years, I've been doing all the marketing myself. I've been doing all the sales myself. I've been doing all the training myself, with the exception of some of my back-end office help. You know what I mean? The things that I have no idea about and don't really know how to do. Shit, what was the question again?
So what was it that made you ignore it?
Spidey senses. Yeah, what made me ignore it? So the promises that were put out, even though there was this shining smile behind all of them that just seemed really odd to me. I want so bad to achieve my mission in life, which is to help as many freaking technicians as I can to be able to work less, make more money, and get home for dinner on time. Like, I'm so consumed by that mission that sometimes I will ignore certain things that are standing out to me because I want it so bad. And I'm like, I'm gonna roll the dice. Like, I'm a gambler. I don't know, like most entrepreneurs, if you'd ask them, at one point in time, they push their chips to the center. And a lot of times it's been a couple dozen times they've had to push the chips to the center. Like, I'm a risk taker, right? And I mean, I've brought on partners for this. I've split businesses 50-50 to try to get somebody who could actually get the marketing side of it worked out better than me, so that I could focus on just doing what I do best, right? I feel like if I could just focus on what I do best, then I can change the world, right? So what were some of the things that made my spidey senses tingle? Was previous business associates, people that he used to work for, who I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, I knew with personal experience that they were not ethical, moral people who were doing things legally, right? And so he was coming on really strong. Plus he had that background of working with those people. And see, like, I used to not hire technicians in my company that worked for certain competitors of mine longer than 90 days. Because I felt like if you could work for a guy that I knew did unethical, immoral, illegal shit, if you could work for him for longer than 90 days, you knew about it and you were okay with working with that person, right? And in this particular case, I ignored that. And to my own detriment, that cost me a good $30,000. So, and unfortunately, it's happening a lot. And these guys are still out there. They're still doing their thing. And look, at the end of the day, all I can say is that I hope that what goes around comes around. right?
So learning your lesson from it, what is it that you're going to pay attention to? How are you going to change and learn from that and as you're moving forward?
I haven't even figured it out yet. I really haven't. Like, I'm back to taking over his position too and doing that job myself. And look, I think that other business owners out there can relate to this. Like, you go for a big push, you take risks, and sometimes shit doesn't work out. It's like Cat Williams, one of his comedy shows. He's like, you trying shit, shit don't work. You trying shit, shit don't work. Right? We've got to continue to go through that test and measure. I don't know what I'm going to do on that side, other than I know that my business model is shifting a little bit. I'm now partnering with contractors as opposed to just them being able to hire me, and I'm bringing them on and helping them with their sales. I'll help them build and scale and sell their businesses. Shit, I mean, I can't even count how many businesses I've helped sell in the last 2 years for like basically nothing, just as a help for my clients. So I mean, I'm shifting and turning and changing and offering different products. And some of the advice I've gotten from some of my mentors is like, you got to constantly reinvent yourself. Right? Look at Mike Aguilera. It was gold medal services. And then eventually he became known for that. And then he sold that and ended up with CEO Warrior, right? Built that, sold that. Now he's doing Food Dog Group. Like, he's reinvented himself over the last 10 years, a couple times. So we've constantly got to be on the leading edge of innovation. It's like I was watching a video by Elon Musk today, and he's like, the only thing that you really get fired for around Tesla is not actively innovating. If you don't have a desire to innovate, you're fired. If you don't actively innovate, you're fired. So we've got to constantly innovate in our own businesses. Otherwise, a lot of these contractors are going to be out of business very, very soon. Like, you've got technology guys moving into your space, Amazon shipping air conditioners. Before long, they'll probably drop them with a drone right on the job site for you and everybody. We might even just eliminate local suppliers altogether. Who knows? Just have an Amazon freaking location in every city. I mean,
no, there's so many different ways that tech can innovate and change everything within this sphere. And I do want to get into this conversation, but before that, Thad, I see the comments just going crazy here on the side of the screen. Were there any questions in that?
Yeah, we said we would take questions.
By the way, if anybody that's piping into these comments has any specific questions for Gene, let's bounce those in there, and I'll see if I can pull and queue some of those up. You're probably not going to hear me say a lot on the show other than bouncing in questions, because there's a lot of commentary there.
It's our pleasure to bring the engagement to the room.
Yeah, well, right now there's going to be a fight to the death in a Coliseum. So there's one. I mean, I think somebody has a pretty good life insurance policy. He said he'd lose, but he talked shit the whole way down. So let's get into this. There's a lot of haters out there, and there's a lot of similarities. I don't want to say similarities in terms of the coaching programs, because there probably is a lot of difference in there. What would you say are some of the key differences or bigger differences in what you do versus what others do, and why do they hate you so much?
We have to ask them about the hate part.
Really, right? Like, I'm just going to go straight to that. Why did they hate you so much?
I could speculate. Well, see, let me just cover the first part of your question first. And what's the difference, right, between like my experience and say some of the other guys' experiences out there? Some people think that I don't like Jason Walker. And nothing could be further from the truth. Matter of fact, I promote Jason Walker. I actually just told somebody like 2 or 3 weeks ago to go use his service before using mine, right? I got zero problems with him. And I love the fact that he's constantly getting attention. It's what he should be doing. He's growing a wonderful business, right? So, but what's the difference between myself and say a lot of the other trainers? Well, number one, I've done everything there is to do inside of the business. Right? Like, I started when I was 11. I've cleaned the toilets. I've done the accounting. I have trained the salespeople. I've done the marketing, created my own unique marketing that nobody else in the country ever used, that I now help people with today, like radio talk shows on conservative talk radio. I have my first sales job was running an infiltrometer or a blower door. So my knowledge of the building science space and of homes and where they leak and where they don't leak is beyond just about anything that you're going to find out there. You won't find another trainer with that same experience. It's got the same qualifications as me. I was one of 7 Honeywell analysis technicians at one time in the country. And most people don't even have a clue what that is, but that's 35 grand worth of airflow testing equipment that's all wireless and communicates to a computer, and that you've got to have all kinds of special training to operate. Like I was selling $1 million in ductwork every 6 months, like 15, 20 years ago, right? So I've just done everything there is, including build a business from scratch, create the brand, and then exit that and become the 59th fastest growing construction company in the country. I mean, so if you want to talk turkey, I mean, I understand KPIs. I understand the business side. A lot of these guys don't. Listen, congratulations. You went out, you sold a couple $1 million. Congratulations. Fan-friggin-tastic. And by the way, 3 million is the new 1 million. Okay. That's one $12,000 system a day, working 5 days a week. Not that hard to do. Okay. I have people that are doing 2 and 3 times that much. Okay. So I train guys that do 3 and 5 and 7 and $9 million. That's the difference, right? I walk the walk and I talk the talk, and I've done everything there is to do, including build and exit businesses. So, I mean, you're not going to find other guys that have done that in the way that I've done it. And on top of that, we didn't even sell air conditioners or furnaces our first 2 years in business. We were doing over $1 million in revenue just in UV lights before I ever decided to sell an air conditioner with 2 people. So that's the difference. That's the difference that you're going to find between Lead Ninja and everybody else. I mean, it's not a house of cards.
Not to knock them.
That's not to knock anybody.
I love how we can hear Brittany in the background. Awesome. No, that was a great answer. Do we have another one, Thad? I know we've got Paul Redmond's on there. Was there any others before that I missed?
There's been a few. I'm trying to play catch up and balance between the numerous platforms that the questions are coming in on.
I'll take the floor for a minute while you're doing that then, because I saw one of the comments on Evan's page, and it was by somebody we've been talking about, saying, ask him about his 100% money back guarantee. Okay, so anybody that's worked for me for more than 2 days should know that I don't offer 100% money back guarantee. Anybody. Okay. Secondly, I do offer a money back guarantee, but it's not 100%. You can't just buy a book from somebody and go, nah, I'm not even going to read it, and I'm just going to ask for my money back. All right.
Right.
I offer a 30-day action-based money back guarantee for one of my programs. Right. And so here's what you got to do to get your 30-day action-based money back guarantee. You ready? It's super, super difficult. You've got to use my sales tracker that goes right on your home screen of your phone. Takes 52 seconds. We've tracked it out several times to actually fill out the sales tracker after a call. You got to show up to my Tuesday and Thursday meetings for 30 days. And you got to do 30 minutes of training in your truck while you're driving around. And most guys have got 2 to 3 hours worth of windshield time. That is the guarantee that I offer. 30-day action-based money back guarantee. If you don't like the program, you think it's not for you, after you've done that stuff, I give you your money back. And on top of that, if you pass the program in 30 days, it's laid out for 60. I'll actually pay for your entire year's worth of training, 10 grand. I'll pay for it myself. So nobody's got those kinds of guarantees. I'd like to see it if they do. And I bet you what, if they end up having those, it'll be after this conversation. You know, imitation's the sincerest form of flattery, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. We got a shout out here from Fred Clark up in Pueblo, Colorado. He's in the middle of an install right now, but he had to turn on Facebook and watch while you were going live. So
I love you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred, for tuning in.
I'll be seeing you soon, Fred.
All right. Pricing on the website.
Fred out at Scott Bidwell's place at One Source before he started his own company. And cool. Fred has just done amazing things. If you're not following Fred Clark, guys, you want to follow him. He's done over $1 million his first year in business. He's cranking, just buying trucks left and right. Good, solid guy. Really good, solid guy. You want to follow Fred.
Clark's Mechanical, and I heard he's got a pretty nice website too. So
pretty good marketing company. All right.
Awesome. Pricing on the website. This was the one that I'm really excited to chat about.
Yeah, a couple of people asked that. So shout out Paul Redmond, David Mars had asked that. There's probably a few more that have asked that. You know, why do people, I mean, good, bad, ugly, should a contractor do it? Should a contractor not?
Well,
do it?
and from both sides of it too, because there's the marketing perspective of why you would put it or why you wouldn't put it, but there's also the sales aspect of, are you cutting out the sales guy by doing it this way, and what would be the right way of going about doing it?
I don't even know what the question is.
Putting pricing on the website.
Oh,
Should you or
got
should
you.
you not?
Like for air conditioning products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you see people do it all the time with houses and stuff. Houses from the 800s, houses from the 300s. Why not? I mean, people are constantly putting out those kinds of flyers and things like that with a cheap, low hook, if you will, and then in fine print it says doesn't include installation or whatever. I mean, I put my prices on my website. I mean, it could drive some people away from you, but if I wouldn't just put the pricing on the website, I would also say, would you like to know why more people choose us regardless of any difference in price? Because once they see your $12,000 or $15,000 or $27,000 air conditioning system on the web, they're going to go, shit, somebody else is going to give it to me for $4,000. I'm not going to look at this anymore. Right. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I think it's the smartest thing in the world to do. I don't know. Not unless you're using it as a marketing hook, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I know we got into it a little bit with Travis Ringy he's in the Phoenix market. Pro Skills, I think is the name of his business, but he has all of his pricing on the website, fully transparent. This is what this includes, right? And it'll say it's $16,000 or whatever it is for including install, and it lays it all out. The one thing that I really appreciated that he said was, their 4,000 or 5,000 5-star reviews on Google, that's the sales pitch as to why they can have the pricing on their website, right? Their reputation goes along with the prices that they have on there. So I feel like there is a time and a place for it. And definitely with what you said earlier around, Amazon dropping air conditioners on site and eliminating the supplier, like that world is going to exist. So getting a leg up on it and being in front of it, I think isn't a bad idea.
I would take the advice of somebody who's doing it and that it's working for, right? I can see that website having all kinds of customer testimonials on it. I would want it to be very, very technologically savvy. Like I would want to have a lot of customer feedback and stuff like that on it. And then, I mean, you got to build the shit out of the value there for sure. I would say, would you like to know why more people choose us regardless of any difference in price? And boom, put a testimonial up there. And then another one, and then another one. So, but again, like I said, I've had my pricing on my website, and people told me I was stupid to do it, to put $100,000 for 4 half days right on the website. Like that's going to keep people from calling you. Great. They're not my clients. I want the ones that I want to ask the people that do call about it. How can you make sense out of paying me $100,000?
Correct.
How can you make sense out of that? Right. Those are the people with vision. Those are the people that are going to take it and run, not the people that are just going to get scared by it. So I'm choosing my customers. And frankly, I don't want to be like these other guys going out to a new place every week. I have 6 boys. I have a family. My family's important to me. I don't want to work more than 30 hours a week. Tops.
Yep. So let me ask you this. A little bit about the innovation piece, and that's kind of what we're talking about a little bit with website pricing. But then you also talk a little bit about, your family and what you want to build and what you want to do there. So, this question came up in one of the threads. I think it came up twice. Might have been the same person asking it, but what's your end goal with what it is that you're building? Obviously you've said numerous times that you're okay with controversy. Controversy sells, and they bring the haters on, but you also have love for the people that respect you. So what's the end game? Is it a plan to continue to be an entrepreneur and build your business, or you want to turn into a business mogul?
My plan is to help as many people as I can, and I don't know how God's going to lead me to do it. But what I can tell you is that I'm not going to work the rest of my life. And throughout my life, I'm going to take many, many retirements. I don't ever plan on retiring. I don't think I would go freaking crazy. But when I sold my first company, I took a 6-month retirement. And that was really, really healthy. And it rejuvenated me and gave me what I needed to move forward and build another business. So my plan is to have this become as successful as it can, have somebody who helps me to run it, help me to be able to do what I do best and not all the other bullshit, so that I can have the maximum impact on my community that I can. And then to bring as many of those people along with me to enjoy that life afterwards and to enjoy the fun. I love being on the water. I love traveling. I love seeing new places. I want to help other people to be able to experience that. I want to help other people unlock themselves from the chains of their service vehicle, get control of their life, get control of their schedule, and be able to make their own schedule. And that's a real possibility. We see it every single day. But I tell you what, it's never going to happen if you focus more on your mechanical skills, turning wrenches, then you focus on your communication skills. You guys have got to get off your asses and start training, start investing in yourself, put your money back into yourself, right? And then your income will increase as a result forever. It's like riding a bike. Nobody's got to teach you how to ride it twice. All right. Your first 100,000 is the hardest. Well, your first million's the hardest, really, in my opinion. But for a lot of these guys, it's going to be their first 100,000. It's going to be the hardest. And once they hit that, it's going to be like riding a bike. They'll always know how to do it. And frankly, I don't know how anybody lives on that anymore. 100 grand is just not. It's just not. It's worth what 50 grand was worth 5 years ago. That's the kind of inflation we've seen here, guys. It's insane. So most people out there got an income problem. And you can sit there and you can say, no, I don't, and I'm just fine. But I tell you what, one day you're going to want to stop working. And if you haven't stacked that cheddar and you don't have something that's providing you passive income, you're screwed. You're going to die behind the wheel of that service van.
I don't disagree with that statement, you know, in this at all. I mean, you look at average statistics and it's a little lower here in Canada and a little higher in the US, but over half of working individuals are 2 weeks away from not being able to pay their bills.
60-something% of America
right?
doesn't have more than $600 in their bank account.
Right? Exactly. And they're 2 weeks away from not being able to pay the bills. If they miss a paycheck, they're done. They're broke. And, you know, that transitions obviously into a whole host of other conversations about, you know, what can a person do? And look, some people might not be able to ever break that cycle, but being able to break the cycle as an individual is something that a person should be able to have in their power with that. So looking at that, somebody wants to try to break the cycle. Somebody's listened to this and they're like, I'm an owner operator in my business. I haven't earned more than $100,000 per year. I want to get some extra training involved. And understanding that not everybody can have the price tag of hiring somebody like yourself or
Right.
you know, a Jason Walker or those individuals to come out. What are some things that somebody can do and some resources that somebody can go to be able to learn these things on a shoestring budget so they can help break that mold to be able to afford a higher paying coach?
How about free? I mean, holy shit. Just look at the device that you're actually watching this on right now. There's this thing that was invented called Google and another one called YouTube. Holy shit, just go there. Like, there's a wealth of information. Hell, I think I've got almost 100 free sales videos on my YouTube page. Just go to Gene Slade, YouTube, right? Or type in Lead Ninja under YouTube. You'll have a ton of resources there at your hands. There's hundreds of videos on my personal Facebook where I'm teaching people how to do this stuff. There's no excuse. And frankly, if you can't afford our cheapest program, which is $400 a month, you should be ashamed and embarrassed of yourself because you're not taking your life seriously. You're not taking your duty to be successful seriously, and you should be ashamed and you should be embarrassed. You have a $400 problem. So that's going to gain me a couple more haters right there. Sorry. It's a fact. Probably. I saw Ryan Stewman say that one time. He said, if you don't have 10,000, I can't look at this right now. If you don't have $10,000 in your bank account, you should be embarrassed. If you're 35 years old, 30 years old, and you don't have that in your bank account, you should be embarrassed. All right. You're undisciplined. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. All right. And you're headed for an iceberg. So after that, pay for something. For Christ's sake, I've given people stuff for free. I've given them $25,000 programs for free. And you know how many of them did anything with it? Zero. Right. But the people that pay, we have almost 100% success rate. Because if you pay attention. So stop being cheap. Stop saying I can't afford it. And start saying, how can I afford it? Go sell something that you've got that you're not using anymore. Holy shit. Have a freaking garage sale. Put something on Facebook Marketplace. Go sell it and put that money into yourself. I mean, I've had people who were my customers that had air conditioners that were just stone cold dead, and they couldn't be repaired, and they didn't have the money, or they didn't have the credit. And I just looked down and said, what do you have that you can pawn? Like, and crazy enough, they go into their bedroom, they grab some jewelry, they go down to the pawn store, they pawn it, and boom, they've got a new air conditioner, right? You got to be able to ask the tough questions. And you got to be able to get in people's faces sometimes and tell them what they don't want to hear. If you're the type of person that just wants me to tell you what you want to hear, you should tune out now.
Well, it's a lot of people are tuning in, so I think they want to hear what you have to say.
Crossing that line between making a sale versus doing what's right for the customer.
Never, ever do it. Never, ever, 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 ever do it. Never, ever, ever think about your paycheck while you're in a customer's house. Never, ever, ever.
So what you're saying is when I sold Cutco knives, and I would calculate how much money I would make or lose by giving away extra free items or not was a bad thing to do.
What I'm telling you is I never think about what I'm going to make while I'm in the house. Now, that being said, does not mean that I'm going to drop my price to half of what it was. The being in business requires a profit. It's not an option, right? What I'm saying is, as a salesperson, don't ever try to sell anybody anything that you don't believe that they truly will benefit from more than the money that they're parting with. Okay, that means you've got to be sold yourself on what it is that you're actually selling. And that's one of the reasons, guys, that I have the success that I have, is because when I go out to these places or I interact with students or technicians or comfort advisors, I sell them on their own products first in a way that they've never been sold before. And then I show them how to do that with their customers. If your technicians are not sold on surge protectors, they will not move them, y'all. If they're not sold on UV lights, they will not move them, y'all. If you just tell them what a UV light does, they will not sell them. Okay, you've got to tell them how to get the client to actually want out of the negative predicament that they're in, because we will spend money faster to escape pain than we will to experience pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's unfortunate that contractors are just giving these products to technicians and saying, hey, go sell these. This is what it does. Customer doesn't want to know what it does. They want to know what it does for them. And that's
Correct.
Never explained, unfortunately. And that's why we crush it. That's why we take guys that have got $300 average tickets on maintenance and turn it into $3,000 average tickets and release them from the burdens and the chains of driving that service truck for 70 hours a week. Think about it. If you're generating $2-3 million a year in business, is your boss going to give you a really hard time about taking weekends off? No, he's not. And if he is, I promise you there's one right around the corner that won't give you a difficult time about it. Another business owner.
Yep.
Man, I feel like I'm getting heated here. Is it too much?
You're starting to sweat a little bit.
No,
well, you haven't started yelling into the camera like some of our past guests. So
I've done that before, though.
Let's Evan, did you have any follow-up thoughts onto that before we get into the random question? Cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, random question, Gene. We have 3 queued up, and you get to pick what is behind door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3.
Let's go door number 1, because there's only one first place, right? And there's only one number 1.
First.
All right. Yeah, right. What is your worst habit?
Smoking. Smoking cigarettes. Yeah, I stopped for a very long time, and then I used the excuse of stress to go ahead and do what I wanted to do. And but fortunately, it looks like that's going to be going away.
You know, I used to smoke. I mean, this was years ago, and the average smoker quits 13 times before they actually quit. Like it's one of those things that like super addictive. I found like the first 3 days were the most intense and most difficult.
Oh,
and
yeah.
after that, it's just the habit of
That's
breaking
right.
the habit. But you have to have your mindset made up if you ever want to quit smoking. So if anybody's listened to this and said, yeah, I quit smoking, it's all your mindset. If you can conquer that mindset, you're going to be able to knock it.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I haven't been committed to it. I haven't been committed to quitting, even though you know you should. How many of you out there have got something you know you should do in your life and you just haven't committed to it, right? I'm no different than any of you guys. I just have more experience in certain areas, right? And I'm dialed into those certain areas. But man, I put my pants on just like the same person. I struggle with the same things everybody else struggles with. We're a Me Too company. What I mean by that is you're struggling with this, me too. You've struggled with this in the past, me too.
Yep.
Right? I can really relate to people in that regard. So yeah, horrible habit. It's got to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's funny you even mentioned that you weren't committed. And, this is something that comes up often in conversations with a lot of people. You find out they're interested in hitting a goal. They're not committed to hitting a
Right.
goal. Curious on what is it that helps someone to make that switch behind getting committed versus being interested? And what is it that's going to make it happen for you?
My dad used to say that people don't change until the pain of changing is less than the pain of staying the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So going back to almost full circle to the beginning of this conversation, when I said I was watching a video by somebody who was saying that people don't typically change after 25 until there's some traumatic experience. I hope to God I don't have to go through a traumatic experience to be able to quit that. You know what I mean? Here's what I also know, that the mood that you're in when you have to keep a commitment is not going to be the mood that you're in when you make that commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys all hear that again. Mood that you're going to be in when you have to keep a commitment. Maybe it's paying for a program that or your marketing program or something like that. That 6 months later, some sort of circumstances changed and somebody wants to get out of your contract or something like that. The mood that they're going to be in when they have to keep their word is not going to be the mood that they were in when they gave their word. So remember that when you make a commitment, that it's not going to be all unicorns and pancakes, right? You're going to go through tough shit, but keeping your word is something that's super important, because when you break your word to other people, you can't even trust yourself. When you break your word to other people, you can't even trust yourself. And I'm right. A lot of you don't even trust yourselves. A lot of you don't trust yourselves enough to invest in yourself, even though you're going to get a paycheck next week. Money replenishes, y'all. Time does not. You guys are wasting your time. You're wasting your lives. Time to get on it. Time to make the impact that you were put on this earth to make, right? Stop. Success is your duty. Stop being a little bitch.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. I think it's already on one of Grant Cardone's.
Nice. I like it.
Might be two different t-shirts though.
Summertime's here.
Yeah.
The time to sell, the time to make money. How can,
for some people,
yeah, definitely,
a lot of contractors go out of business in the summertime,
right? Mm-hmm.
What was the rest of your question?
Oh, it's going to be, how can technicians take advantage of it, not just during this peak season, but into the fall as well? Because I know
dispatchers are going to hate
me for
this. Yeah, dispatchers are going to hate me for this. So stop running 7 or 8 calls a day. Owners, you might not even like this either, but run your technicians 3 to 4 calls a day. Turn the calls down that are coming in that are going to run your technicians through a freaking wood chipper. Okay, your internal employees are more important than your internal customers, I should say. Your employees are your customers. They're more important than your external customers. Think about how expensive it is to replace an employee. All right, stop it with the 7 or 8 calls a day per technician. All they're going to do is burn the last couple of calls. They're not going to sell maintenance agreements on them. You're going to lose money on those deals. It's going to take you $250, $300, $400 to get in the door anyways, and that's all you're going to come out with. All right. So one of the biggest pieces of advice that I try to give people is either hire now, right, and train them to do your maintenance and have a good maintenance program. I can train somebody to do maintenance in 3 weeks. All right. We've got a program inside of the mastermind. But hire them now, get them doing the tune-ups, get a bigger staff. But people are having difficulty finding people right now, supposedly. They're having difficulty getting trucks. So what I would say is maximize each opportunity. All right. Don't run 7 or 8 calls a day. Maximize each and every opportunity and turn the other people down. You would be better off, instead of running 7 calls, you'd be better off to run 4 and then just put $100 bill in 3 envelopes, lick them, and send them off to those other people. You'd be better off sending them $100 a piece than showing up at their doorstep to fix their system. Okay. You're not going to be able to spend the time to make a full list. You're not going to be able to spend the time to do a really, really good service for them and have a great customer experience. You're just going to be turning and burning. So then that's one of the number one reasons that contractors go out of business in the summertime. They're trying to get to everybody. They don't know how to say no. Just say no. Okay. I'm sorry, we can't get to you today. Maybe make a partnership with another company that you can send some people to or something. But tell them no and take care of your existing customers first. Okay? Because that's the fastest way to money. It's always your existing customers. That's my answer to that.
Love it. No, I mean, that's a huge tip in terms of taking advantage of the summertime and making sure that you're maximizing.
That's not
every
a tip
sales
an
call.
average sales trainer would give you. You got to run a business in order to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to manage people in order to understand it.
That's exactly it. It's more about the people, right? And this is a conversation we've had numerous times on this show, that the number one thing that you can do for customer service is take care of your people.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Love them, wrap your arms around them, tell them you appreciate them. And it's a pain in the balls, man. I used to say that I wished I had an appreciation button I could hit every Monday morning when I ran my AC company. Because to walk around and to 35, 40 people and let them know you all appreciate them, I mean, it's a pain in the balls, but it's something that leadership needs to do. And you don't always have to say it. You just want to show it. Have lunch brought in once a week, right? Have a picnic or something like that at a park for your employees and play friggin' tug of war or something. You know, just cook burgers for them, serve them. One of the most amazing experiences I ever had as a technician when I moved down here to Florida was a company called Modern Service for Home and Business. And the first Thursday of every month, they had a general meeting. And before that general meeting, as long as we'd hit our budget the month before, all the managers got aprons on, they lined up tables, they cooked food from home, they brought it in, and they served us. They literally put it on our plates. And I thought that was one of the most amazing experiences and increased my loyalty to that company. And I was like, wow, nobody's ever done anything like this for me. They actually care, right? Guys, show you people that you care. It ain't always about saying it. It ain't always about money. I can promise you that. All the money in the world won't buy appreciation. All right. So tell your people you love them. Take care of them. Let them know that you have an open door policy. Let them know if something's not working or not working as well as they want it to work, to bring it to your attention, to have a meeting with you. Take them out to lunch. Show them that you care, because people don't care what you know until they know that you care about them.
Mic drop. No, that's 100% on point. There's nothing to add on to that. That was great. I want to ask you this, being on opposite sides of the table in terms of marketing versus sales. If you had a company, would you rather have great marketing with average sales or below average sales, or a company with above average sales and great sales, but below average marketing?
I would rather have better marketing. I would rather have better marketing, for sure. No question. We can always improve that sales stuff, but it's a bitch to find somebody that can really, truly get you leads coming through the door. Everybody says they can do it, but I'm telling you, I've spent millions of dollars to prove to the contrary. All right. I think I've probably spent $6 or $7 million in total since I started my air conditioning company just on marketing. And I can tell you, most people don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They don't. And it took me man. I spent $1.3 million on marketing for my first air conditioning company, all on radio shows. And $600,000 of it was complete trash. Shows that I did that didn't work. But once I found that one thing that worked, I was able to duplicate it and scale it. And boom, we're doing 3,000 new customers a year.
And was that content that wasn't working, or was that the station that wasn't working?
It was the speech. Larry Wingett said something one time. If you don't know Larry Wingett, look him up, guys. He's the world's only irritational speaker. And he says that it's easier to get a new audience than it is to get a new speech. Think about that. It's easier to get a new audience than it is to get a new speech. Once you have a speech that works, it's really difficult to duplicate that speech. A sales process, how about that? Once you have a great sales process, it's difficult to recreate something else that works just as well, right? It's easier to get new customer. It's easier to get new customer than it is to get new speech. So I would much rather have customers flowing into my business than to be great at sales without the customers that I needed. That's a super frustrating experience, and that's the experience that I'm having still today. right? I want more customers. I want to make a bigger impact in this community. I want to help more people work less, make more money, and get home for dinner on time, to do fun shit on the weekends, to spend time with their families, or hell, just out fishing by themselves. You know what I mean? As men, we love to go to that nothing box, don't we? Sit on the couch, bam, click it on. Honey says, what are you thinking? Nothing. And you're telling the truth. And she can't figure out, how could he be thinking nothing? Because women's brains and men's brains are wired differently, like literally physiologically wired differently.
I'm going to try to find the link to that. Actually, you just Google the Nothing Box, and it's Mark Gungor, the Nothing Box Part 1. And it is absolutely hilarious. It's 10 minutes. It's well worth your time to just sit there and listen to it.
You want to watch the whole 4 hours that he's got on YouTube as well. He's got a 3 hour and 40 something minute one that is much more in depth. When you've got some time, sometime, guys out there, go ahead and watch the full one. But I think it's called A Tale of Two Brains is what it's called. Right. Mark Unger, A Tale of Two Brains.
Yep. If you don't have the 4 hours to do it, just watch at least the 10-minute one, and it'll give you a little bit of a nugget on that. So I have the link here queued up. I'm going to show that here. It's a fucking mess of a link. We'll put that in the show notes. Mallory, make note. We'll put that in the show notes for the Nothing Box to check that out.
And by the way, for those who missed it, you heard Gene say it. You need to hire us before you can hire Gene.
That's right.
There you go. On purpose. So, here, since he said that, we will do.
Run, man.
Yeah. onpurposemedia.ca/book a call right there.
And since you guys are doing that kind of a mic drop, I'm going to tell them right now, I actually still do those radio shows for air conditioning and plumbing companies all over the country. So if you want new tune-up calls, I can actually throw a radio show together for you in 2 weeks or less and have them dropping into your freaking box the moment that you give out the telephone number the very first time. Every single time I do one of these shows, first time we give out the telephone number, we get calls. So there's no seasoning or waiting or anything like that. So you got to DM me and say, hey, I want to talk about the radio show. Now, I don't do business in every area. Right? I'll only do business in the top 100 cities in the country. You've got to have at least 500,000 people in the MSA for me to even consider it. I won't even consider it if there's not at least 500,000 people.
No, you want to make sure that you're doing right by people and
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put together a show that's not going to work for them. I'm not going to take somebody's money if I can't deliver for them. Period. I don't need your money.
So, there you go. You can check out Gene's information there, leadninjasystem.com. You can also hit him up on Facebook for that DM, facebook.com/Gene S. Slade. There is the extra S in there, so make sure you don't miss that. Of course, the Facebook page, facebook.com/lead ninja as well. And you can find all that in the show notes afterwards too.
I want to give a gift away. Can I give a gift away?
No.
Pretty please. So I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. And here's what I would say. If you put me in the comments or put 21 day in the comments, anybody that puts 21 day, I will actually give them a 3-week program that gets you one text message, one email, and a video or an audio message every day that will get your morning started right. It's called the 21 Money Making Mindsets with Gene. Okay. And so if you just put 21 day in the comments, my team will reach out to you via Facebook Messenger, and they'll need your cell phone number and email to be able to send that out to you every day. It's a $2,000 program. So $2,000, and I'll give it away free to everybody that's on here. Evan's like, lead magnet.
Yeah, exactly. I love Scott's comment. Sorry, I had to laugh at this.
Yeah. You wish. 21 day. Just put 21 day in there.
There we go. We got a couple of people already chiming in on there. I love it.
All right.
Without any other last questions that popped up in there that we need to address?
There
were a couple around IAQ, so I would love to chat about that really quick because I know that's something that you're pretty passionate about in selling.
I've got 10 minutes. I got a hard stop in 10 minutes, and then I got to roll.
Great. Well, let's hit on this with IAQ. I know there's Tanner, he's a member of the HVAC 2.0 philosophy around IAQ and what systems work and what systems don't. He chimed in a few times around that. Curious on your philosophies around selling IAQ and making sure that they're in the best benefit for the customer.
Well, I take some heat for this. I take heat for even selling a UV light or a filter when there's an air quality problem.
You'll sell 3.
right? Like I literally take heat from other IAQ guys because they're like, you're not checking out the building. You're not looking at the building. You're not doing the building science thing. Well, guess what? Not everybody's got an infiltrometer. Not everybody's got a blower door. Not everybody's going to invest in one. So I do the best that I can with the people that and the resources that they have, right? I think everybody should own an infiltrometer. I think everybody should have air quality testing equipment. I think everybody should have a laser particle counter. I think everybody should have airflow testing equipment, but unfortunately people don't. That being said, I train people on 10 different stages of indoor air quality. And it's taken 20 years or so to put these systems together. But I train them on anything from filtration to ionization to ultraviolet types of lights to air scrubbers and REMIs to HEPA filtration systems to humidification and dehumidification systems, duct sealing systems, duct cleaning systems, positive pressure ventilation systems, and even building sciences. It all goes together. And unfortunately, like there's no way in 10 minutes you could do that. We're going to do an 8-hour class. It's going to be a Monday and a Tuesday, I think, coming up here in June. It's going to be super, super cheap, way cheaper than anything I've ever done before. I think it's going to be like $400 or $500. If anybody wants to look at that, just put IAQ in the comments, or my team will get you the information on that. But we train 10 different stages of indoor air quality. I sell the technicians on what each stage does. And frankly, here's what I would ask you guys out there. Is there a good reason other than money for all of your customers to not own a great filtration system and purification system? Is there a good reason other than money that everybody shouldn't own one? I don't think there's a good reason other than money. I mean, if they were free, wouldn't everybody have one? Why is it then that we're not actually out there putting that stuff in front of our clients? I think the biggest reason is because we don't know how to establish a need for it. Okay. And I've done this before, and I'll do it again real quick here. But people have got, you stop worrying about building value salespeople. You're pissing in the wind. Okay. When people don't feel like they actually need something, you can't build enough value in it. Right? I could try to sell you my $1,500 iPad, but if you don't have a reason or a need for it, you're not going to care what features it's got on it or how it's going to help you. Okay. So you've got to get the people concerned about what they're dealing with. It's if they can't see it, it doesn't exist. Right? So open the systems up and start asking them questions, educate them. But before you can do that, you got to educate yourself. So go online, go on the Google and say negative side effects of breathing in allergens or mold or something like that, and do a little bit of research. And what you'll find is that these allergens are going to cause a variety of different problems that you want to build into your presentation. Okay, so here's an example. I open up a system. I look at the system. It's got growth in it. I point it out. I say, do you know what that is? The customer goes, dirt. And I'm like, and that's usually when they say mold. People get all worried about saying mold. I don't have a problem saying mold. I know what it looks like. I'm not afraid of somebody suing me. Stop being such a panty waste to everybody. So I'm going to show them. Yeah, panty waste. That's what my dad used to call it. Stop being such a little girl. Or we said a little earlier, a little bitch. Right? So I will show it to them. And if they don't know what it is, I'll say what grows in a dark, damp place of the food source. Then they'll go mold. Right? Did you know that it looked like that? No. These are all questions. Ready? Did you know that you can have over 1 million spores in just 1 square inch of that stuff? And that when you breathe it in, it gets absorbed by your lungs, enters your bloodstream, and lives on you? Like you're not at the top of the food chain anymore? Did you know that it causes depression, sneezing, coughing, sinus infections, more trips to the doctor, more time waiting in waiting rooms, more time waiting in exam rooms, being poked, being prodded, being told what to do, a lot of time running around for prescriptions, a lot of extra prescription expense, more time off of work for follow-up visits? It causes loss of smell, loss of taste, loss of energy, fatigue, causes irritability, earaches, ear infections, sore throats, headaches, upset stomach, diarrhea, rust and corrosion, refrigerant leaks, and even sexual side effects. I mean, it's not good. You've got to get them concerned. Okay. These are not scare tactics. All right. It's the truth. And unfortunately, sometimes the truth is scary. All right. But we've got to get the client emotionally involved in what's going on. Otherwise, you're not doing your job. You're not serving the client at a higher level. Did you know that 1 in 4 people have zero ability in their body to fight mold? Zero ability. How many people live in the average house? 1 in 4? I mean, four people? So what's the statistical likelihood that there's one person in every house that has no ability in their body to fight these molds?
Oh, we got 8.
Yeah, we got 8 freaking people in the house.
I think like 2.2 is the multiplier that a lot of media companies use.
Whatever it is, maybe it's every other house. Okay.
I could say 4 or 5 of our kids.
Right.
Lovely.
But the bottom line is that the likelihood that somebody's experiencing some of these issues is great. How many of you ever been laying on your pillow and this nostril clogs up? You switch to the other side. Now this one clogs up, right? All this is allergy stuff that's happening, right? It's affecting people's sleeps. It's affecting their mood. It's affecting their marriages. It's affecting their life. And sometimes it kills them. Okay. So you got to get passionate around what you're able to do for a client. And you probably won't do that until you sell your first great air quality package and they call you back 2 weeks later and tell you what an amazing difference it's made in their life. Now, when was the last time that happened when you sold somebody an air conditioner or a furnace or a plumbing system or a water heater? They called you back and told them what an amazing difference it made in your life. Never. Nobody does that. But when you clean up their air and their health gets better and they experience a life that they never knew that they could live, oh my God. I'm telling you, this is why I'm responsible for over $100 million in air quality sales. I love it. And I love the impact that we make for customers. So that's the first thing. From an air quality perspective, you've got to share with them the negative side effects and do it in the form of a question instead of just talking at them. Because if you talk at them, people will shut you off.
Always.
No? Right? So that's why I asked you guys a lot of questions. Keep going.
We had a follow-up question here from J-Dub. Would Gene rather sell an HVAC system that's 15 years old, or does he push IAQ on it? If he pushes IAQ over the system replacement, why?
No. Well, see, I'm trying to think of a circumstance in which I would push, as he's calling it, IAQ. I don't ever push anything. I'm not a pushy salesperson. I pull you to me. I ask you questions. I'm like, come here, right? So if it's a 15-year-old system, and the client plans to be there for any significant amount of time whatsoever, I don't care if it's 2 or 3 years. No, I believe that it's going to be better for a client to replace the system and get the air quality stuff all at the same time. Now, if they're planning, if the house is up for sale, there's a for sale side of the yard and they've got asthma or something like that, and they just want to try to clean something up and they don't want to have to worry about an inspector finding mold or something like that, I'm there to serve the client. I'm not there to serve my own needs. Right. So I need to make sure that my mind is always focused on their particular situation and how to help them best. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job and I won't be able to sleep at night. So that's the answer to that question. Thanks for the question, J-Dub.
Love you.
Oh,
Shout out from Brittany in the background. I love it.
And in fact, with many of my companies, you were not allowed to sell a UV light on a system that was older than 10 years old in Florida, because we wanted to have a second person go out there and take a look at that. Because a lot of times what will happen is a technician will get $200 for selling a UV light on a system that really should be replaced, and they're not doing the ethical thing for the client. Right. So we had a cutoff of 10 years. At 10 years, you're not allowed to sell a UV light without approval and pictures from a supervisor.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
There's a whole nother topic around what protections do you have in your business to make sure you're serving people right as you're hiring and bringing on trainees and first year technicians and all of that. So there's a whole nother show we can do on that. 100%. Last question. What's one question you wish people would ask you more, but they don't?
What did you have to go through to get here? What did you have to, what were the pains that you had to experience to get to where you're at today? What did you have to endure? Because people are quick to hate without taking into account what somebody's had to do to get where they're at. GC, for instance, Grant Cardone's had to go through a lot of shit to get where he's at. Donald Trump's had to go through a lot of shit to where he's at. All these Mark Cubans, all these people have went through pains and agonies, and they pressed forward, they pressed through it, and they haven't let it beat them. So I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to share a lot of that stuff.
And thank God for their wives.
Yeah. Say what?
Thank God for their wives.
Whose wives?
All their wives.
All theirs?
And yours.
Yeah.
Thank God. Shout out to herself. I like it.
Guys, we got to get out of here and go pick up our Sea-Doo. It just finally got a new motor put in it. But
no.
I appreciate you guys having us on here. Is there anything else before we exit?
No, I just want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for enduring some hate, some love.
I love it. Keep it up. Hey, keep it up. Let's go. I want your name in my mouth all day long. Brittany doesn't. Brittany hates it. Brittany sits and cries on the couch. So make Brittany cry.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. There you go.
Slap heard around the world.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Great to hang
thank
with
you
you
so
guys
much.
today.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on, Gene. We appreciate it. And thank you for dropping some nuggets and some value. And for all those that tuned in today, we want to hear from you. What was your nugget from the episode? Whether you love them or hate them, there was some good gold nuggets in that show that you can take from it if you choose to. And if you don't, that's on you.
Yeah. See you
And
soon.
until next time.
See you guys.
Cheers.
I'll see you till next time.
Cheers.
Cheers, Gene.
Bye.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, two quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time.